Greetings and welcome to this episode of Everyday Enchantment. I am so excited. I love when I wake up and I've got an incredible guest on the podcast to talk and converse with, and today is no exception. April Doherty is here. She is a cancer thriver, which I absolutely love that term. Somebody who is using life experiences to really deepen practices of healing and slowing down. And we're going to chat with her today to find out all the wisdom that she has gained that she wants to share with us. So come on in and welcome. Greetings, beautiful being. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I heard your dogs want to be part of the podcast.
Yeah, they're currently behaving in their crate right now because they just got in trouble a minute ago for yelling.
Well, I always love, you know me, I love animals. So the more the merrier. If they want to join in at some point,
Right?
welcome them in. So, my beautiful friend, I want to just start with you. Well, first of all, this is what I want to say is one of the things that I have been witnessing in your cancer journey and just your life journey is this incredible piece of you that is so willing to be vulnerable and open and share your heart, what you're going through in ways that just feels to me like, well, first of all, it feels very old soul energy, right? Like just this amount of insight every time I read something that you're sharing, and the bravery that it takes not only to go through what you've been going through, but to share it with the world. I'm curious kind of what your relationship is with that, like sharing with us and telling us, again, all the things that you're learning along the way.
Well, thank you for that. And I mean, truly, I hate journaling, and I know that I need to journal in order to continue to grow and put some of these thoughts down. I have poems dating back years and years and years in just like little notes apps. So sharing this journey throughout on social media is just another way to empower people. I've been a personal trainer for over 12 years now.
Didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
I know you love to work out. Your workouts are incredible, but I did not know you were a trainer too.
Yeah. So in all of my overcommitments and overachievements, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a paralegal, I'm a farmer, I'm a law enforcement trainer, far too many things, of which that list is slowly getting dwindled down, most exclusively this year. And, I have struggled with body dysmorphia. I have struggled with confidence. I have struggled with all of those things all throughout my life. And I mean, for the past 10 years, anything that I learn, I want to be able to give back. I love sharing love. I want to be loved, and I want to share that love with others.
I love that.
Yeah. And I mean, you've been a huge part of that as well, because, you always put your little hearts out to the world. And I swear, like, I always see that. I've sent that to you for years. Like,
you have.
Oh, Stacey, like I saw a heart,
I love that. I love that people, and they do it all the time, send me hearts. It's like, if nothing else, when I leave the planet, if that is what I'm known for, finding love in all the places.
For sure.
And I want to circle back to something you said about overcommitting, right? Because the planet, for most of us, we are in some kind of state of overcommitting. And I know my own health journey in the last couple of years has asked me to slow down, obviously different than yours. And my gallbladder removed and going through some heightened version of menopause that is literally saying, you cannot do this anymore. And it's so easy when we're not feeling well to just say, okay, well, this is temporary, and then want to go back to whatever it is that we're so used to. And finding that new way forward is ragingly uncomfortable. At least it is for me. So I'm curious your thoughts about
No, I
taking it
mean, I
slower.
totally agree with you. And change is so difficult already, right?
True.
And in a world where we are continually taught to do to
Mhm.
define ourselves, right? Like for me,
Mhm.
my do in not like the poop sense, but in the gotta get shit done sense. Am I allowed to,
Exactly.
am I allowed to cuss on
You
this?
are. Bring it on, baby. That's the explicit rating. I always put it on there.
But like seriously, like I have all these years like sought love and sought to be love and sought to find love through all of these overcommitments.
Mm.
I thought that, defining myself in all these variety of ways was the way that I was going to, be the best self of me. And
Yeah.
now like I've completely realized that self, that me, like I need to save more for myself. I can't keep giving
Mhm.
all of this away. All throughout chemo
Mhm.
treatment, I worked. I worked every single day. I had my laptop with me. I still took calls from police officers for animal abuse cases. I was still indicting cases. I was still working on cases. Like I was 110% the entire time sitting there getting chemo. When I was freezing my hands and freezing my feet so that I didn't get neuropathy, I was, that was the only time that I was listening to Harry Potter so that I can connect
Mhm.
better with my niece. Those were the moments that taught me and made me think like I have to slow down, right? And then I have all these people, all these mentors with me like, Ape, you need to slow down.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until so I finished chemo in July or June of 2021. I had
Mhm.
my bilateral mastectomy without reconstruction because, again, I wanted to get back to the barbell faster. I wanted
Mhm.
to, I did not want to be defined by my boobs or my lack of boobs, right? Like,
Mhm.
I've always struggled with my body, like my entire life.
Yeah.
And I felt that why do I want fake boobs? Like for
Mhm.
me personally, that I didn't want that to be an option.
Mhm.
So I went flat. I have scars on my chest. I have bluebirds tattooed with sunflowers because those were the biggest presence. Like that was my happiness throughout chemo. And our lovely friend, our mutual friend in common, Wendy,
Mhm.
her husband actually gifted me the picture of the bluebird that I got tattooed on my chest.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I actually love now that when I go to the farm, and I see those bluebirds, like it's just that presence. It's that beauty. It's that blue, the beauty of blue, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not necessarily always the red and the pinks and, like it's the blue for me, that blue that lights up my life.
Which is to me, I immediately think of the throat chakra, right? Which is the energy of blue, which is communication, which is what you've been doing, speaking your truth, embodying what that is, sharing it with all of us. And it's interesting to me because I'm not really a huge journaler too, and I love to write, but it's like whatever that is, if your journal is your posts and putting it out there, it's like why can't we recreate or redefine what things are. And I really, really love this idea because in my own journey I've had similar experiences where we think the doing is what is going to create the love, right? So if I do this or I am this or I look like this or whatever the case may be, then somehow I'm going to prove we really think it's just other people, but it's really, I think, to ourselves. I'm lovable, I'm capable, I'm whatever the case may be. And what I've found, at least in my own journey, and when I've spoken to so many other people in their journeys, it's like it's always an inside job, right? So we don't like to slow down because then we actually have to pay attention to all this. And so it's so much, at least I speak from my own experience.
No,
Busy,
you're
busy,
you yeah,
busy,
yeah.
busy, busy, busy means I don't have to deal with this and I don't actually have to feel the discomfort of whatever this is, letting somebody down or letting myself down, right? This idea of feeling all of the emotional, just experiences of being human, we've somehow said, well, you know what? Most of us don't want to do that. And so we have built lifestyles around actually leaning into the things we're most afraid of, leaning the things that we think are going to break us and what have you. And what I've found in my own life and working and doing this work is that the things that we think are going to break us usually break us open and create something way better than whatever we've been doing beforehand. I don't know. You tell me.
No, you're literally speaking to my heart. I feel that hard.
Yeah.
And I after my surgery, I was very confident in my decision, and I've never looked back in not having boobs. I've worked very hard on strength training to build, a muscular chest. But I don't have nipples. I don't have breast tissue. I just have scars. And I worked with a sex therapist to work on not only healing from the grief, right? Because it's still a loss. It's an amputation. Like my
Absolutely.
breasts were amputated off of my body.
Yeah.
But it's also, I also went to the sex therapist to, redefine myself. Like, who am I, right? Because culture teaches us, that breasts are femininity. And I just got rid of that. And I lost my hair during chemo, which was actually harder than losing my boobs. But so think of those two things combined, right? Like I gave up my female identity, and that was a really hard struggle for me. And
How did you make peace with that, if you don't mind me asking?
working with this sex therapist, I don't know if you can see this Paul here.
Yes. And the nose. I love it. I love it. They want to be part of it. I get it.
So working with this sex therapist, one of the things that I realized was I never defined or felt my feelings. So I actually had an inability to even do it, to the point where I had to start with a feelings wheel. And I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
I know exactly what you speak of.
Yep. I've shared this with all of my boob sisters as well. Each morning, we each kind of challenge each other to give our 3 things of gratitude and our 3 feelings. And using that feelings wheel has been such an asset. And it has allowed me to come full circle with healing and feeling more confident in myself while I regrow and while I work to redefine this person that I am inside. Because in the midst of all this, I also went through a divorce.
Which I did not realize until recently. And I was like, damn, girl. As somebody who's been through a divorce, I mean, I don't know what your divorce was like, but mine was messy. It's like, hey, it's like, let's empty out. I know when I went through my divorce, it's like, let me empty out my life and turn it upside down. And it was a health issue for me. It was my relationship. It was a job. It was everything. So I get the whole, like, when you're transforming, even if it starts in one area, I feel like it's going to touch every part of it. You cannot not be a certain person, right? If you've been in this place and accepting all of this kind of newness of wherever you're going, it has to touch everything.
For sure.
And that is a hard one in general anyway, just to walk through, no matter what level it is.
There's an amazing author, Dr. Christiane Northrup, and I've read her stuff for a long time. When I first found my lump, I went to one of the books that I had of hers that like kind of went into like when we're holding on to shit and it gets stuck. And at that particular time when I found my lump, I was dealing with a ton of shit. I had a lot of cancers in my life. And I think it's interesting now because I get to go through menopause for a second time. Because I went
I'm so sorry.
It's awful. So I went through chemo-induced menopause, and after my surgery, my period came back, and my ovaries have begun to wake up, and it is tremendously uncomfortable. So in the world of doctors, right? Like as a cancer patient, and as a young athletic cancer patient, you really have to advocate for yourself, right? Like you were talking about all these health issues. Like there are so many ways that I don't fit into any of these typical cancer patient boxes.
Yeah.
So literally, I have not only deemed this part of my year slow down, that's my theme for the year, but this is also like me figuring out my science experiment, which is basically fuck around and find out. Because
Yep.
like nobody knows. Like,
Yep.
I mean, nobody knows.
They don't. I'm telling you, I think every person listening, particularly women listening to this, in my own, I was just having a conversation with somebody about menopause and the lack of good quality medical information and having to be such an advocate. I mean, I'm dedicated toward it, right? Because I always say to every doctor that I ever meet, I'm like, I am not whatever box you're going to try to put me in as a patient. I'm not, and I don't want to be. And so you have to really take your time to
Mhm.
find the right partners, right? They're not just out there hanging off the tree, to find the right people that can really support you. And it takes some time and takes some effort, but it is something that I think that I champion myself, because don't just accept whatever somebody else is saying because they're the expert, or you think that they know more. Nobody knows better than we know our own selves and our own bodies.
Yeah.
Nobody.
It has to be an and conversation, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Um,
I
and
love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends gave me that, and she's an acupuncturist as well.
Mm.
That kind of, taught me like we have to be just all willing to work together.
Yeah.
There isn't a specific answer, and
Yeah.
even in the criminal world, like it's the totality of the circumstances, like
Mhm.
individually, like what are we looking at in every single investigation? Like it's the same thing with my body as my science experiment,
Yeah.
like my boob sister Carrie, who also is triple negative breast cancer thriver, like her body is completely different than mine.
Yeah.
Like we can compare things. We both went through chemo together, but things in our treatment plans were completely different. Like
Yeah.
if you go, 1 in 8 women are diagnosed with breast cancer, right? I am
Right.
1 in 8. But if you go to every single breast cancer patient, you're going to hear so many different things.
Mhm.
So how can we fit into that box when we don't fit into that box?
Yeah. And I think we got to break personally. I think the world, wherever we are in the world, just collectively, we're ready to break. Like we're breaking the boxes. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of what has happened prior to where we are now, people have been trying to break the boxes to some level of success. And yet now there's like a revolution, and it's with love, right? Like it's not meant to be malicious or unkind, but we really have to reclaim who we are, our sovereignty, and this power of our own bodies. Because no matter whether you're experiencing cancer or things like I have, like again, I lost a body or a organ, and the doctor said to me, and I loved my surgeon, but he said to me, "Oh, you're going to be fine in like 2 days. You can eat whatever you want, and you'll be." And it was like that. None of that happened, and I really believe the losing the organ catapulted me into this intense menopause, and I had to dig around to find that information. And so I think that even this, I want to kind of ask you too, this whole relationship with healing, right? Because there's also this idea that we do something and we're healed. I don't believe that. I believe in the journey, the practice, the experience of healing, and it just becomes a deeper and deeper relationship with ourselves. It's not a one and done, and I felt that feeling, right? Or whatever it is. And now I'm finished. And it's like, okay, well, that feeling might show back up later today or 3 days from now. And are we willing to be in the present moment with whatever the truth is of how we're feeling, what's going on with us? And I think that's a very different way of being than
Well,
most of
but
us.
think about it. Like healing, just like strength, healing isn't linear, right? Like it doesn't matter how much effort and work I put into healing. Like I take 4 steps forward and 87 steps backward. You
Yeah.
know, like these past couple of days, like this past probably week, I have been in a struggle with confidence. Like
Mhm.
it was horrible. I would, you know, and I'm so grateful for my boob sisters in our like little community that we have, because we all constantly build each other up, and we remind each other like, hey, you need to say like you're a badass bitch today, and I
Yep.
need you to say that. I need to hear you say that. But like those low moments, like they're not only hormonal imbalances that you have to figure out, but they're also like acknowledgments of what else is going on, like
Yeah.
what is happening in your world that is not fulfilling you in that moment, that is not driving you in that moment.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that for this morning was like I felt on fire. Like I found like this courage and peace and confidence this morning. And I was like, yes, today's the podcast. Like, finally
Well,
got my
even if you
fire
weren't
back.
feeling it, even April, if you weren't feeling it, because you know me, I'm all about being very, very authentic. And it's not a problem either, right? I think what I've been talking about recently is I think that we're feeling more of these ups and downs, just generally, because we're allowing ourselves to actually be feeling these things.
For
And
sure.
so all of a sudden we're like, wait, is this a problem? I'm like, no, it's not a problem that we're down in the valley today, right? I always say, what do I need in that moment, which is very different than when we're feeling like at our highest confident,
Sure.
self. And it just is like, do I allow myself? I always have this image of like being in the river and laying down in it. And sometimes the water is peaceful and, and you're just chilling and relaxing. And other times it was like the craziest storm the night before and you're flailing around in there. And that, like you said, is this non-linear experience of life that do we give each other permission? And to your point, I love this idea of community and support. I think we all need our own dream team of support and inner circle. And as much as I adore my husband, the women in my life are equally important, and really my inner
Mm-hmm.
circle is equally, because one of the things I pulled out of my marriage was like one person cannot be everything that the other person needs, but in both ways. And this idea that I thought, oh, well, this person is going to complete me or whatever other bullshit that we all got fed. And it was like, that's not actually true. And it's not fair to ask one person to do that. And so, what I need, I want to be responsible for, and I can get in lots of different ways. And I'm not just, tethered to this person who may be having their own bad day and can't offer whatever it is in that moment.
For sure. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I mean, goodness knows, like I have my community of boob sisters. I have my reshape with ape ladies.
Mhm.
Um, you know, there's an arsenal of tools in my tool shed, you
Yeah,
know,
because not every tool's going to work on a particular day,
for sure.
right? Yeah.
For sure.
So let me ask you, if you were going to kind of pull out the things that you feel like you really, I don't know, learned, but gathered through these experiences the last couple of years, what is it like? What is the one thing that you would say, I know now with, certainty or clarity that maybe that younger me or that other me didn't know as clearly?
That I'm worthy of love and I don't have to earn love.
Mm.
Um, and that what I do for others doesn't define my ability to be loved.
Mm.
And that's still hard for me because I'm a
A
people
hard one for
pleaser.
all of, yeah, I think we're all recovering from those tendencies
Mhm,
and the over giving. Well, if I
mhm.
give more, then I'm gonna get more love. I'm gonna make sure, right, that I'm gonna get what my needs met and those kinds of things. And as somebody who had, for me, a lot of childhood trauma, it's really
Yes.
interesting to be in relationship. What I've learned in my own journey the last couple of years is being in relationship with my trauma differently. It doesn't mean that I didn't happen. It doesn't mean that I've just decided, oh, everything, is fine. But it is about recognizing that in a way that that younger me did what she needed to do to get, right, her needs met.
To
And
survive.
it doesn't, yeah, and it doesn't have to be the same way. And I always say the truth might sting a little bit, but it is never going to cause us to suffer and to do harm to ourselves, right? Over giving, over pleasing, all of that. And the last year, I have spent so much time receiving, which is super uncomfortable, and doing things for no, like without the quid pro quo, right? If you do this for me, I'll do that for you, or I'll do that and you'll, like, I'm like, how do we break these little links that are everywhere in our lives and our relationships?
Mhm. Giving
It's
without expectation
yes,
and receiving
yes.
is those are such a challenge, and I agree with you. I am working hard on both of those things as well.
Yeah. And what if we don't have to here's what I think too. What if we don't have to work harder? This is my life mantra. How can it be easier? We've already had things hard, right? And so to
Mm,
me, I'm like the next 50, because I'm at 50 this year, the next 50, I want it to be a lot easier and let go of the shit, right? That just doesn't serve anymore and whatever that is. Because this idea, I love healing, I love spiritual growth, and we've also all been very much indoctrinated into it has to be very difficult, right, of a process. And I'm like, how could my own growth and development be fun and inspirational? This is something I'm playing with, right? It is not necessarily I'm perfect at, but it is this idea of I don't need to put myself through another huge traumatic transformation in order to glean the wisdom that I want right now in this part of my life.
kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
There you go.
Like, and
There
I
you
will
go.
say, I just sent a text message to someone, and I was like, you know what? Like, I can't be I can't be normal because I'm not normal,
Who is
you know?
normal? That's
But
just an
like
illusion.
my my closest to normal was like on Monday after coming home from the office, I actually worked out in the evening. And
Mhm,
then I cooked dinner. I cooked
mhm,
fucking dinner. Like I didn't eat meal prepped food. I actually cooked a dinner. And then last night I started playing guitar after my most recent surgery. And
mhm.
I actually spent like over an hour just learning two songs and working on that. And like that music in my heart is like such a part of my healing journey, you know?
Oh, I love
Like,
that, and I think music is a huge healer here. Animals, music, that's a whole whole 'nother podcast topic, but there are so many energies here that we don't pay as much attention to, right? Because we're so busy
mhm,
doing the things we're supposed to do or we think we have to do, that we miss out on so much of the natural beauty and joy that's here that wants us to kind of be back in balance with, who we are in this moment. I don't think it's not a permanent state. It fluctuates. Hence my
yeah,
river analogy.
yeah. Well,
It
and
moves
your
around.
river analogy is my farming analogy, right?
Mm,
So in the world of farming, right, we have conventional farming where we're using all these fertilizers, pesticides, like all this
mhm.
shit that contaminates our soil, right?
Yeah.
So beneath the soil, you have microbes. Those are all of your little pieces of bacteria and bugs that are making your life thrive. And when you mess with that balance, you've affected your whole ecosystem, right? So when you work to nourish the things that are beneath the soil that you can't see, right?
Mhm.
Those things that are deep down inside, guess what happens? It allows the ability of photosynthesis to thrive. It allows the green to come up. And even
Mhm.
in that moment of green, there is going to always be a season of brown and gray because in the living,
Yeah.
there's death, there's a
Yeah,
process, there's a cycle, and you have to go through it.
you
But
do.
coming through and cycling through and coming back greener and more beautiful and growing greener and thicker, right? Because
Mhm.
I'm all about the thick life.
I love it. If you could share some of your hair growth with me, because mine's definitely on the way out and I have done all the things. And it's not a vanity thing for me at this point, because it's just like I want vitality, right? I want to thrive in the vitality. I know that's what you're saying too. And it's like, how do we do this? And you're right. We have to allow the seasons and the rhythms and the pace of being human, being on this planet to be part of what we're doing instead of just being kind of at, I don't know, at odds with those things. We really do need to come back in it and spend more time. I think Mother Nature is the best healing coach, lover, you name it, on the planet. Anytime I need some love and I'm feeling like I'm not getting it, or I'm, whatever, I'm having a moment, Mother Nature's always my go-to.
Yeah, for sure, wholeheartedly.
No, no,
Um,
there's no question. And she's always there. So that's the you can count on that, which is, I think, that makes me feel better, right? That there's
yeah,
something that there's some foundation there that isn't going anywhere. Or at least what I mean in, like, look out the window or go for a walk, put your feet on the ground kind of thing.
remember to look up
Yes. Oh,
and
hey,
then
yeah.
observe everything all around. So the certification that I have for farming, it talks about the idea of holism. So it's the
Mhm.
idea that there's holes within holes within holes within holes. Everything affects everything, and it's not an individual. So think of your Venn diagram, right? Everything's interconnected in some way, shape, or form. So if you think that you're making one choice
Mhm.
that is solely going to impact you, it's
Mhm.
going to impact others. It's going to impact your whole, right? And the idea of holism is finding that holistic context. Like, what is your holistic context? And mine has a whole lot of love in it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, so does mine, which is probably why we feel drawn to each other. April, thank you. I know that we are wrapping up, and it's just been beautiful. I could talk to you for 3 hours, and I'm sure everybody listening probably wants that too. So you might have to come back. We might have to have a part 2. If you want, my friend, if that feels good for you. But thank you so, so much. If you want to find out more about all this, I will put lots of details in the show notes for all of us. And again, stay tuned for the next episode of Everyday Enchantment. We are always talking about all these topics in my Facebook group, Everyday Enchantment. So pop over there and be part of that conversation as well. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Stacey.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. Get all the delicious details and links we've mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. If you'd like to chat about this episode or learn more about how to work with me, come visit me in my private Facebook group, Everyday Enchantment, or check out my website, staceyandon.com, where you can find out more about my Leap of Faith coaching, my Map Makers group program, and the School of Intuitive Magic. Plus a special shout out for all the production and editing of this show by Richard Wilmore. That's it for now, love. Here's to living a life enchanted. See you soon.